We've been talking so far about how he might be charged under Minnesota state law, but there are also federal statutes that make it a crime for law enforcement officers to deprive someone of their civil liberties in terms of what we call under color of law. That is, outside the scope of their duties, but, while still purporting themselves to be acting lawfully. So because George Floyd actually lost his life here, these types of civil rights violations carry very significant penalties that are frankly similar under federal law to what we would see under a second-degree murder conviction under Minnesota law. So he's looking at very, very serious possible criminal charges from the federal side of this as well.
As a practical matter, directing and focusing the attention of the Department of Justice and law enforcement on any group, whether it's the Earth Liberation Front or a white supremacist group or here Antifa, obviously has the full force of the government focusing on that. So he's pivoting off of other issues and making this a priority. As a legal matter, however, Congress has defined domestic terrorism in federal code, but they have not attached a criminal penalty to it.
Financially speaking, I'm not sure anyone has shown up with a bill for their costs. But given the amount of, for example, defective protective personal equipment that the Chinese ship throughout Europe, I think it's safe to say that they have definitely taken a black eye in terms of their political reputation and, frankly, in terms of the view of quality of Chinese products. I mean, if you can't make masks that work, right, how good are your ball bearings and your machine tools?
But what we can make them do is pay a price for all their malfeasance, whether it's how they dealt with COVID or what they're doing with China, or for example, exploiting the U.S. education system, sending people over here to as students to spy on us and steal things. So by, for example, cutting off certain Chinese students, we're sending a message to Beijing. You are going to lose access to the greatest university system on the planet if you don't start to play by the rules. So I think these are scoped, they're appropriate, they're a responsible message, and they're sending tough messages to China. We're not going to put up with the abusive and exploitive behavior.
And I suppose generally, Rod Rosenstein has said that at various times he was told that the president was not a suspect, that there was no evidence tying certainly the president to any alleged collusion. Why didn't Rod Rosenstein say that to the president or say that publicly rather than sort of putting the country through what we've gone through the last 3 years?
A majority of the public actually believes there's ideological bias in the social media platforms, and they're worried that they're censoring speech. Look, Twitter claims it's just a platform, not a publisher. But the fact check it did of the president raises serious questions about whether they are acting as an editor. And what the president has done in that executive order, and he's got the authority to do that, is he has told federal agencies not to spend advertising dollars on social platforms that actually have restrictive free speech policies.